Okay, headed on a road trip with version 13, full self-drive. Elon hasn't pushed the new version to me yet. But it's 500 miles to Ranger, Texas. First stop is Frankie's Charging Emporium in Little Rock. It's gonna be a little bit of out of the way. Should get there with 5% charge, state of charge. Currently leaving with 77%, and not quite 80%. So we'll get there at 5% in charge. Kind of a cool place. And I'll check back in when we're on the road. Okay, headed on to 55 north. Just made it to the interstate out of Olive Branch and out of South Haven. And morning rush hour is on, but we'll make it through. All right, full self-drive, do the thing. Good job. Okay, having to pull into a supercharger here. There's a pretty good wind today, and my estimate for arrival at Franklin's Charging Emporium in Little Rock kept reducing, and it got down to below 1%, and that's just too close for me. This is not some kind of out of spec road trip here, so I'm going to splash and dash here at the supercharger and get back on the way. All right, we can get in there with 1%, so we'll just charge enough to get maybe up to 5. Okay, it took on 150 kilowatts, just enough to get me up to 11%, and enough to continue, and we're gonna go. Should be arriving at around 11%, which is a little bit more power than I needed, but with the wind, I needed a little bit of cushion. All right, we'll check in again when we pull into Frankie's Fast Charging Emporium. All right, headed to Little Rock after charging, and already arriving below 10%, and got a 9-mile-an-hour wind from the south that's costing us 1.1% consumption, so already falling below projected. So yeah, it's a lesson there as far as what the winds will do on an electric car on a long road trip. All right, pulling into Franklin's Fast Charging Emporium, and there it is. And BMS did a good estimate. We're arriving at 11%, so I guess it needed that first leg to find out there was a 10-mile-an-hour wind coming from the south. And now that it's figured out, it's doing good estimates, and don't go that way. Yeah, that was an intervention. And here we are, pulling in. Out of Franklin's Fast Charging Emporium, and now the car is compensating for winds, which is a 10-mile-an-hour wind out south, so it's basically a headwind at this point because we're kind of going southeast, and consumption is on point. So the next charging stop is going to be a Tesla supercharger, and I'm going to stick with those guys until I get to my destination. So the kind of a nice stop off. Got to talk to a nice guy who was charging his Model Y. He was just there to test out to see how he could do it, and so I helped him out with his adapter and unlocking the charger with his phone and that. So it was pretty nice to talk to people, to kind of participate in the charging subculture that's developed here in the 21st century. Okay, made it to Ranger at the RV park on top of Ranger Hill. And you can see in the distance, we're in the Texas hill country now. Got plugged in to a NEMA 1030. 32 amps going to the car. Mattress and sleeping bag set up. And a welcome-ish mat. So this is where I'll be sleeping tonight. And we're running in camp mode. There's a chair, picnic table, and the sound of highway. Always highway. Here we are, West Texas. All right, we'll see how it goes.